With that, it just completely peeled me like a banana. I was just like, wow, exposed to this, bottomless pit of love that is never going to not be there for me, ever, no matter what I do. And I just couldn't cope. Could not cope. Then we had a visiting preacher the next weekend, and his name's Alan LeMay, and Alan used to be, I think, the CEO of Teen Challenge up in Toowoomba. And I don't know what Alan said or anything like that, but the call to the cross came. And that was a bit in the old days when you actually used to have to get out of your chair to go down the front to get saved. Actually do a bit of work for it. Just an encouragement. No turning back the clock now, I don't think, but anyway. And Alan said, look, is there anybody here wanting to give their life to Jesus? And I looked at my girl, and my girl's like, let's go, right? So she grabbed my hand, I grabbed hers, and we were out the front so fast we scared Alan. And he's gone, whoa, well, must be ready. And that was the day. That was the day that Jesus sort of completely changed the trajectory of my life, okay? But my ego was still running high. Because I walked out of there going, how lucky is Jesus to have me? Oh look, I was negotiating with him as I walked out of the church. I said, okay, you got me, you better make this good. Right? And that started the next impossible journey for me at the time. And it's been about 16 years, and I can tell you that it's only been in the last 3 to 4 years that I've actually getting somewhere with it. I'm getting somewhere with all of it, don't get me wrong. But my attitude and my ego has taken a good 10 to 12 years to drop off. For me to be completely dependent on him now. For me to look up more than looking around to see what everyone else thinks I'm about to do. It's taken me such a long time when I look back at it and go, 16 years. But the last 4 years have been the richest, deepest, strongest, most communicated and less competitive I've ever had in my life. It's almost like I've been swimming in the ocean and finally come to an island. And I can sit on the island and go, oh, this is what grace is. This is where he's got me. Because now I can look around and I can give grace every single day. Like I've been doing it for years. Okay, and I haven't been. So the journey, and my journey in the pool and with Christ had a lot of similarities. Because all that drive and determination, hard work to get to that gold medal moment, it feels very much mirrored that all the hard work, determination to drop the world, to drop my ego, to drop my competitiveness, to drop my control mechanisms. I've finally arrived in the gold medal zone. I finally arrived where it's flowing towards me, and it's coming through me and onto other people, which I think that's what we're here for as men. That we're the vessels for his grace in our actions and our words. And it's taken me a really, really long time to actually become the vessel that God has wanted me to be. Okay, but it's worth the journey, because I can look back at it and I can see me and I completely understand it. And I've got grace for me back then and the mistakes I'm going to make in the future as well. Okay, so that's basically my story. And like I said, all the excitement I thought my life was providing with meeting prime ministers and premiers and Hollywood stars and being at these parties and traveling overseas and speaking gigs and doing conferences in Hawaii and stuff like that, and all those things that I built up and put in there as my, this is what it is to be winning and a success story. Mate, that's got nothing compared to one day in the life I've got now. Nothing. So the colour and the relationship with my girl Rebecca is just bunta. It is incredible. Like we are in places now that we didn't even conceive of back then. We had a hope and a dream for our marriage when we got married.
No pressure.
Yeah, 15 years ago. 15 years this year. Thank you very much. Thanks for the encouragement. Love that. So it's been 15 years, but we've arrived now 15 years later in terms of what our vows meant back then 15 years ago. And in those vows were hopes and dreams. Don't get me wrong, they meant something to us, and they've driven our behaviour because of those vows, okay? But we had hopes and dreams mixed up in those vows, and we kind of didn't know how to get there or when it was going to arrive. But we had hopes and dreams. But Jesus did. And Jesus got us together on that day to be what we are today. And for our children, and on and on and on, for our communities and stuff like that. And that's the power of Jesus in a man's heart. Simple as that. That's what we're all here tonight for. That's why we all come to church and stuff like that. This is why we won't work with other men that we know who are challenged by the things that are happening in the world. This is when we get to be that vessel of grace from the Lord into people and things like that. That's why Shed works. Because Shed is all about grace. You stand there, a man spills his guts, we all sit there and lean in for him. And he and his story changes our life. Like I said, I can tell you 30 stories I've heard it shared, word for word, because they keep rolling around in my head. They keep getting replayed. Because if this guy who was locked up in prison has got the grace for people around him and his family can change them when he gets out and get on with Jesus, what am I going through? I don't think, in my opinion, my life is as difficult as that. So I'm not going to take this job downturn or transformation in the corporate senses and the freedom that I live in, I'm not going to do it as tough as that bloke. So he's inspired me to sort of put mine in perspective and say, yeah, you feel like shit now and this is difficult, but mate, you're not in prison. Okay, so it gives me that perspective. And so this is why, and I want to finish with encouraging, and I'll take some questions and stuff like that, but I just want to encourage you, the power of Jesus in us is profound. It is huge. And yet I'll resize Jesus to be just a bit bigger and better than me. All right, and I'm going to have to fight with that the rest of my life, because the world to me and the journey I've been on means a lot to me. So my battle every day will be more of Jesus, less of the world. And it's going to be done. Some days Jesus and I are going to win that, and some days I'm going to be without Jesus and going to lose that. Okay? And this is what we battle every day, and everyone's got a battle in them. Okay? And from my family, and there's a lot of bad things that happen in my family generations through. Okay? And my wife have put down, in our family, we're going to break intergenerational curses and intergenerational spirit of Ahab and Jezebel, and we're going to break those chains, because Jesus breaks those bonds.
Amen.
Okay? And that's what we're going to do. And we've been really successful at it, and we've embedded that so much in our life, right, that we talk almost every single day. Because Becky and I, we'll look at a situation and go, yeah, let's do that. And then we'll go, I'm not too sure that's breaking a chain. You know what I mean? Because it exposes our kids to maybe a little bit of danger from my family members who aren't with the Lord yet, and don't want to break those chains from generations before. And we're talking about, shit behavior, terrible behavior. And so we pray about these things and we say, well, come on, Jesus, let's get into this. How can we change these family members with our behavior and our love and our grace for this situation? Let's not block them, but let's get the environment right to bring them along and to protect our kids. Okay? So that's what I call a man's strength through Jesus. See, Jesus will transform us, but we've got to line up to get his strength. We've got to line up every single day. Stop resizing him as 6'7", slightly faster at swimming than me, got a little bit more money than me, got a few more toys than me. So when the wheels fall off my life, I can go, hey mate, I need help now, because you've got a little bit more than me. He's much more than that. Okay, he's the source of all our power. And if I can resize him into, hey mate, he made this whole thing, I need to take every little thing to him so he can uplift me and I can get his strength out of it. Okay? Don't battle alone. Always battle with Jesus. So that's a little bit of my journey where we come along.